I am doing this lesson a little different than most. I am putting my observations and conclusion right at the beginning, and then the formal lesson begins on the next slide. I did this so that if somebody wants to see this output, they may not make it to the end of the lesson, so I decided to put it right up front. Without a doubt, the most important element of any educational system is the teacher. Without excellent teachers, a country cannot have an excellent educational system. In this lesson, we look at what life is like for a teacher in a top-tiered system, such as Finland or Singapore, with most emphasis on Finland. You will see that life for a teacher here in the U.S. is miles and miles away from where we need to be if we want to improve the system. In order to attract potential teachers out of the U.S. labor pool, we must make substantial increases in their pay. However, money alone will not be enough. In Lesson 25, Teachers, the State of the Profession, we read about 10 things that cause either people to never enter the profession or to leave early if they do. The quality of management must be improved in order to resolve these 10 issues. Welcome to Lesson 26. This is about teachers in a top-tier system. What we're going to do in this lesson is to contrast what a teacher, say in Finland, is like, how they're recruited, how they're trained, and what they do when they're in school, with an American teacher, with most of the emphasis placed on quality of teacher. As you'll see, much of the content is about picking really top-flight teachers, as they do in Finland. So, what's it like to teach in a top-rated school like Finland? This lesson will illustrate the many differences between a teacher in an international top-tier system and a teacher in the U.S. public schools. For example, teachers in Finland will be top performers in their university classes, generally better educated, better paid, and highly respected. We focus on Finland because they are often studied and there is much material from which we can draw. The next few pages will focus on teacher quality. Top systems have top quality teachers. Research has shown that of all the controllable factors in an educational system, the most important by far is the effectiveness of the classroom teacher. The world's best performing school systems make great teaching their North Star. McKinsey Report, page 5. The U.S. does not take a strategic or systematic approach to nurturing teaching talent. Buffered by a chaotic mix of labor market trends, university economics, and local school district and budget dynamics, we have failed to attract, develop, reward, or retain outstanding professional teaching talent on a consistent basis. Here are 6 video clips that focus on the importance of excellent teachers. 2 are not mentioned. 4 are. The first clip is Mitch Daniels when he was governor of Indiana. Mitch went on to become the president of Purdue University, a title that he currently holds. The second features Mark Tucker. Mark is the U.S. expert on education. The third is obviously Bill Gates. And the fourth focuses on Randy Weingarten, current president of the American Federation of Teachers. It is encouraging to note that she is involved in innovations in teaching. In the next lesson, lesson 27, I am very critical of labor unions.
Teacher quality, the experts of AEI and other places have taught me over the years, is not merely the leading variable in educational outcomes. It is the dominant variable, Some have quantified it actually as 20 times as important as whatever's in second place. Things like class size and so forth are just trivial by comparison to this. And so
next, what we see is a move in these countries from recruiting from near the bottom of the kids coming out of high school to recruiting from near the top, and to greatly strengthening the system for teacher quality all the way through.
Our foundation for the last 9 years has invested in this. There's many people working on it. We've worked on small schools. We've funded scholarships. We've done things in libraries. A lot of these things had a good effect. But the more we looked at it, the more we realized that having great teachers was the very key thing. And so we hooked up with some people studying how much variation is there between teachers, between, say, the top quartile, the very best, and the bottom quartile. How much variation is there within a school or between schools? And the answer is that these variations are absolutely unbelievable. A top quartile teacher will increase the performance of their class based on test scores by over 10% in a single year. What does that mean? Well, that means if the entire U.S. for 2 years had top quartile teachers, the entire difference between us and Asia would go away. And within 4 years, we would be blowing everyone in the world away. So it's simple. All you need is those top quartile teachers.
Thanks to the OECD PISA data, it shows that Finland is performing better than the average. Yeah? We have been passing everybody else. What did we do to make this possible? Our policy of teachers is again very different to many other countries. First of all, we insist that every teacher in Finnish school has to have master's degree. All the Finnish teachers have to be treated like professionals. When people ask me that how do you know in Finland that your students are learning in a school? And I always say that ask the teachers, they know. Just like you ask the medical doctor if he or she thinks that the patients are doing well.
Working as a teacher in Finland, it's really something nice. And when we get the appreciation for our work, that's even better.
Teachers are appreciated in this country.
You feel it?
Yeah, I do.
Alexander?
I think it's a general atmosphere that teachers are valued and the profession is appreciated in all society, and we have a good education to become a teacher.
Teachers' professionalism means something. You see it in the school, you see that it's real. But what the teachers also talked about was the pride that the community has in its teaching force. And you could see it in terms of the pride that the kids had in their teachers, as well as the confidence that the teachers had when you walked into their classrooms.
So this is my main subject, psychology.
We are trying this book in two different schools.
Wow.
This class and a school quite near Vasa.
One teacher in particular was talking about a new textbook and had called the publishing company about it, and they were changing it based upon what her suggestions were. So that just blew me away, because here she was talking as if this happens every day.
20 lessons a week.
20 lessons.
Yes, but they work another 20,
right,
preparing lessons and marking papers and so on. So it's not only teaching hours.
Right.
They have other duties as well.
The number of teaching hours, there's almost a 50% difference between the teachers in Finland and in the United States. What are they doing when your teachers are sweating in the classrooms? They're working on their curriculum development, they're working with parents or consulting students or so on.
But if they don't have an own classroom, then they can also work in here, and then they have some spaces.
This is so different than in the United States, where teachers actually have their own office space, they have their own lockers, they have computers here, they have phones here. There's a professionalism about this that you just never see for teachers in the United States.
If you go to Finnish school and say that mathematics, reading and science are the most important subjects, they will kick you out, because this is not the way we understand learning.
You saw the integration in terms of content areas, whether it be cooking and art and music and industrial arts. and calculus and literacy. And you saw the integration between technology, human interaction, and textbooks. When we talk about how there's no one-size-fits-all, you saw that clearly in the schools that we saw today.
This whole business of education is run by the educators. And that's why the communication and dialogue within this community is very different.
Really, really appreciate the time. Thank you. What is so obvious about the education system in this country is that people are engaged in problem solving, not in winning arguments. The notion that somebody is an obstacle is just irrelevant here. It's not even part of the conversation. The conversation is always about how can we all together help children. They assume that teachers should be the center of a child-centered education system, and they work to make sure that teachers have what they need to accomplish their task of educating a country.
I want to introduce you one person to begin with, she's somebody who is very important to me. She's my sister's daughter. Her name is Vera, or Vera, how you want to call her. And in this picture, she's about 25 years old. And when Vera was about 19, as many Finnish young people are when they finish their high school, she graduated from Finnish high school with a very high grades and good marks. So you could say that she was a very, very good student. And that spring, when she was leaving the school, she gave me a call. And she called me because I had been working at the University of Helsinki, preparing training teachers there, and she asked my advice. And her question was that, so what should I do, because I have decided to become a primary school teacher. And I said that, Vera, I think you are just about the ideal person to be trained to be a teacher and primary school teacher in Finland. So you don't need to worry about, just be yourself and go and take the entrance examination seriously and everything should be fine. About 3 months later, she called me desperately crying and in tears. And she said that they didn't take me. And this is, of course, something that would probably not happen in many other countries, because many other countries, the universities are looking for exactly these types of young people who are smart and committed and interested in doing something for children.
Engagement, so that the students are well tuned into the teacher, and they're all listening to her. No one's on a device while she's speaking.
With our cameras in the room, I'm sure these students are on their best behaviour today. But we're told students in general show a great deal of respect for their teachers. They show a desire to learn, and there are not many disruptions. And this respect for teachers is seen across the social spectrum. Only applicants from the top 30% of graduates are accepted into a teaching degree. It pays well and is considered an elite role, on par with a profession in management or accounting.
Here in Singapore, we're talking about the top 30% of graduates that become teachers. So that's very different.
Oh, actually, that was, it was interesting when we started talking, when we first arrived. You know, they said the pay is this and you get the bonuses. But having spent time in the schools, they're very hardworking and teachers are very much appreciated. Their profile within the community is high. Wouldn't that be great in our own country if that was the desire, like that we were making the choices that, yes, you get to take the top 30%.
Here we begin to make the contrast. The U.S. attracts most of its teachers from the bottom 2/3 of college classes, with nearly half coming from the bottom third, especially for schools in poor neighborhoods. Another conclusion from the McKinsey report. The debate will continue, but it is worth noting that officials in top-performing countries have little doubt that recruiting teachers from the top third plus is critical to their success. They tend to point to superior results rather than research, along with a common-sense notion that effective teaching requires a mastery of subject matter, psychology, and how to tailor pedagogical styles for different students, all of which they consider high-order skills associated with academic success. So what's different in Finland? Finland has a great school system, so what's different? Here are 2 short videos to illustrate some of the ways they do things in Finland. The first is a 3-minute video that is so revolutionary, it just doesn't seem feasible here in America. Finland seems to get more by doing less, at least less in the classrooms. The next video explains the high level of their empowerment as a teacher. In my book, I say that teachers are the least empowered professional job. The level of empowerment shown in this video is exceptional. This will only work with highly trained professionals.
Back in the day, Finland's schools sucked on the level that ours suck on. When they tested the world's kids, both Finland and us were usually about the same, somewhere down the list of nations. But Finland didn't like that. So they tried some new ideas, and in no time, Finland shot to the top of the world. Their students were #1. How did they do that? That was the one question I wanted an answer to, and I went straight to see the enemy's Minister of Education. Before I could say anything, she blurted out their top secret.
They do not have homework.
Wait, so you reduce the homework you give them in school?
Yes. They should have more time to be kids, to be youngsters, to enjoy the life.
So they have no homework. What if all they want to do is climb a tree?
They could climb a tree, yeah. They can climb a tree, then they learn how to climb a tree. But they'll end up, while climbing the tree, probably finding out about different insects, and they can come to the school next day, tell me about what they found.
Compared to the older kids, how many hours a day do the younger ones go to school?
Mondays, 3 hours. Tuesdays, 4 hours. It varies. It's 20 hours a week.
So they're, oh man. Now, does this 3 or 4 hours at school include the lunch hour?
Yes.
How are they learning anything? How are you getting anything done?
Your brain has to relax every now and then. If you just constantly work, then you stop learning. And there's no use of doing that for a longer period of time.
Finland students have the shortest school days and the shortest school years in the entire Western world. They do better by going to school less.
Here, it's so student-centered that when we had to redo our playground, they had the architects come in and talk to the kids.
Were they listened to?
Yes, there are things on our playground that the students really wanted.
We try to teach them to be happy person, to respect others and respect yourself.
You're concerned with their happiness?
Oh yeah.
What the hell do you teach?
I teach math.
So the math teacher says the first thing out of your mouth of what you wanted these students to get out of school was to be happy, to have a happy life.
Yeah.
And you're the math teacher.
Yeah.
When do they have their time to play and socialize with their friends and grow as human beings? Because there's so much more life around than just school.
You want them to play?
I want children to play.
And that was the principle.
So I feel as a teacher, the best thing is that we can be so flexible in Finland, and we've got the freedom to use our own creativity.
The best thing about being a teacher in Finland is the trust. The school authorities as well as parents trust in our professionalism and commitment a lot. Myself, I like a lot of opportunities to teach together with other class teachers and subject teachers. The cooperation of teachers has increased, and I think that's only a good thing.
I think the best part is that days are never similar. That when I go to work, I never really know what is going to happen, even though I know what I have planned, but there's always something new happening. at the same time. And also the fact that we are respected professionals, that we are not evaluated, we are trusted, and we know that if we do our work well, that is enough. Our principal or the head of the school is responsible for guiding the school to the right direction, and he is on our side, on our teacher's side, and he makes sure that everything works smoothly, but he doesn't come and observe how we teach or doesn't tell how we should teach.
In the good school systems, they hire great teachers and give them a career path. And we're going to talk about that career path on this page. One of the unattractive features of the current U.S. career is the absence of a career path. What a teacher's doing on the first day of class is going to be the same at the end of their 25th year. The best foreign systems have a path that will enrich teachers' lives and allow the best to float to the top. Here is the career path pulled from the Maryland Kirwan Commission report. This is the career path that the Maryland study proposes for Maryland teachers. It's a career path basically for both teachers and administrators. And on the left, you see 3 levels of titles and pay for teachers. And they anticipate that about 12% of all of the Maryland teachers will end up with a title like one of the 3 that we're going to talk about. The lowest of the 3 is the lead teacher, then the master teacher, and the professor master teacher. So these top people are really, really great to have in school. On the other side, there are 2 levels of administrative positions. They assume about 5% of the educators will end up in this path with one of these titles. The lead principal, licensed principal, that is, and the master principal. So these people also have career paths, which is good. Great international systems use their teachers differently. Finland, Hong Kong, Singapore, Canada, Japan, South Korea, and other top performers have made an enormous investment in their teachers so that the expertise needed would be right there in the classroom, and large central offices of fully specialized staff and supervisors would not be needed. So we would no longer need the dreaded bureaucracy that the teachers so dislike. They can do almost all tasks themselves, and they combine their skills with other schools. This page is full of material, and it's going to take some study on the part of the viewer. Just pause your system and take a look at it. But I'll explain what it's all about. And this is from Mark Tucker out of one of his books. On the left side of the page is a table with certain elements, things that teachers do, and a little sentence or so about how top performing systems do it and how we do it in the U.S. So let me go to the right. Here is a table that summarizes differences between schools in top tier beyond Finland and Singapore and schools in the U.S. This table comes from Mark Tucker's book, Leading High Performance School Systems, and it's taken from page 163. For example, the first row in the table is time usage, and in the top performing systems, only 40% of a teacher's time is in front of children. 60% is collaborative work with other teachers. In the U.S. system, a typical teacher spends all day in front of the children. Career tracks, clear pathways with the greatest responsibility, authority, status, and pay, with greater responsibilities, And these are very rare and limited. Generally, the unions are opposed to these career tracks, so the schools have not installed them. Teacher leadership. This is common. These teachers are empowered. They make a lot of the decisions or assist with them in the school, whereas in the U.S. system, teacher leadership is very rare. It's all left to the administrators. Instruction for new teachers. Common with experienced master teachers as mentors. So as you go up this career path, the higher you get up in it, the more these people are mentoring new teachers. Any such program like this for U.S. is rare, at least for the more senior teachers to spend a lot of time with the teacher. Expertise development. Through teams of teachers working collaboratively in each school, whereas in the U.S. systems, these are workshop sessions outside of school, and Tucker says these are often ineffective. Compensation is based upon expertise and level of responsibility for top performing systems based on years of experience and coursework for an American teacher. Here's a big one, accountability. In the top tiers schools, the teachers are accountable mainly laterally to peers. So this is peer review. In the U.S. system, it's hierarchical to administrators. Space usage. Teachers have offices in the top systems, and in America they have their desk in a classroom. If a teacher is having poor performance, they receive tremendous support and coaching from their fellow teachers. In the U.S., these teachers are fired. And the location of the expertise, as I said earlier, is in the schools, and in the U.S. system, it's in universities and central offices. I developed a new table, which is not shown here, with a column instead of the U.S. system labeled University Professor. This is not shown. The surprising thing is how many of my entries as a university professor were the same or near the top performing system. In other words, the teachers in these systems behave a lot like a U.S. university professor. Recall that I was a professor at the Kelley School of Business in Bloomington for 6.5 years. Elevating teacher quality will be expensive, but remember this is an investment that produces many tax dollars and reduced state expenditures. In the commission report that detailed the proposed Maryland study, they studied 4-year college jobs to find an average salary of $80,641. So these would be jobs that other 4-year college graduates be going into. The current teacher salary, average salary in Maryland is $64,600. Consequently, they propose to slowly raise teacher salaries by 24.6% to an average of $80,641. In the 6th year of their new program, the gross cost to Maryland of this increased pay is $1 billion. This is a huge amount of money, but if you study the return on investment report for the Maryland proposal, you will see the following. Their total school budget goes up by $3.8 billion. It was initially 7, and they would like to kick it almost to 11. And the reason this is more than the billion that was just quoted is because this includes a significant amount of money for early childhood education, starting at, say, 4 months of age and going through to kindergarten. They have to hire many more teachers to do this. But the total return to the state, once they get it steady state, in other words, after about 10 years, is $6.3 billion. looking at the flow of expenditures, they hit break even at 14 years and complete payback by year 25. See lesson 19 for more on this topic. So to wrap this up, we learned that in top-tier systems, the teachers are admired as quality professionals. This comes about because they are a select group of university students who have the skills to do many other professional jobs, but they choose to be teachers instead. We get the picture that their lives in school are different from the lives of most U.S. teachers. They do not spend all day in the classroom, but spend collaborative time working to curriculum, lessons, and teacher instructional skills. In fact, their lives are close to the life of a university professor. One thing is for sure about these teachers. The George Bernard Shaw Super Slam, as I call it, those who can do, those who can't teach, is blown completely out of the water. This concludes lesson 26, and I want to thank you for your time. I hope you learned something.